Good evening. Our top story this week. The United States Government Accountability Office issues a report complaining about how child welfare agencies in the country are sucking up $25 billion a year of taxpayer dollars, yet still crying poverty and failing to provide the necessary services to the kids and the families. In Washington this week, a state lawmaker wants CPS agents to be licensed and bonded after hearing too many horror stories about botched child abuse investigations, and to make it so that somebody who is subject of a murder investigation can't see their kids. In Kentucky, a child death and near-death review panel is looking over the cases of some kids who have died and saying that they're finding some trends, although the child protective industry is refusing to divulge some of the information from these records, such as names and psychiatric records, thereby hiding some of the crucial information that could be used to better protect kids in the future. Penn State University, the home of the Penn State sex abuse scandal, is going to start hiring experts with the goal of advancing child protection knowledge and combating child abuse. And Jerry Sandusky's appeal for a new trial was denied. In Maine, there is a shortage of shrinks in rural areas, meaning that parents and teachers will continue to go nuts without their kids being able to get their forced mental health treatments. In Georgia, judges, CPS agents, lawyers, teachers, and system sucks are all getting together to look for better ways to handle cases involving abused and neglected children. Google is refusing to block search engine access to websites or remove YouTube videos in order to help police and other government officials cover up their crimes. And in Utah, a bill is being considered in the legislature that would help create a path for parents and kids to reunify under certain circumstances after their rights have been terminated. In Nebraska, the state's new child welfare inspector general spouts off a list of concerns, saying that families should be given fair treatment and that a system of checks and balances should be established. Nebraska's last remaining private child welfare agency is claiming that it needs another $2 million to do the job. And former Nebraska foster kids are supporting a bill that would help them with financial support after aging out of the system. In Arizona, Governor Jan Brewer pledges to give more money for the child protective industry so that they can snatch more kids, and hire 50 new and inexperienced CPS agents at a cost of $4.4 million apiece. In Texas, the state is claiming that they're using less psychiatric drugs on foster kids, as only 1 in 3 Texas foster kids are being fed psych meds, and they're waiting to start them off on the drugs until age 3. In California this week, foster kids are being thrown out onto the street at the ripe old age of 18. The Santa Clara County child protective industry is stuffing newly stolen foster kids into an overcrowded receiving center in the basement of a downtown medical building, which is being called unsafe in a scathing report, and Indiana is considering regulating the use of dangerous physical restraints on students in schools. In Colorado, legislators are about to request a full state audit of the child welfare system after a series of failures on the part of CPS agents. In Michigan, a child welfare watchdog only has limited access to the child protective industry's computer system, thereby preventing him from doing his job. Michigan social workers and CPS agents are setting up shop in schools. And in Hawaii, foster care providers want more money. In Sweden, 2 kids who are said to be neglected by their mother, who is of Roma heritage, will be deported right along with her. American wannabe parents are becoming frustrated with the Russian adoption ban as they cling to hope that they will still get a kid. And in Australia, a former youth worker at a juvenile detention facility denies sexually abusing a female inmate. In Canada, the head of Manitoba's child welfare system has some questions for the workers about how they handled the Phoenix Sinclair case prior to her death. A probe is going on into an incident from 35 years ago where a foster parent impregnated a 15-year-old girl, but Ontario's Catholic Children's Aid Society didn't bother to tell the police. And the foster father pleads not guilty to rape in that case. The city of Ottawa has been ordered to find and release millions of records to expose the rampant physical and sexual abuse that went on in secret for years at Indian residential schools. An 18-year-old from Manitoba admits to molesting his 10-year-old foster brother. And in Saskatchewan, a foster parent is found not guilty of criminal negligence from when a foster kid in her care drowned in the bathtub. In England, a foster parent gets 8.5 years for molesting a 15-year-old boy. A British couple suffers 3 weeks of hell after social workers falsely accused them of harming their baby. And a former heroin addict who said that she would have gladly handed her kid over to social workers back when she was screwing up is now applying to be a foster parent. In Arkansas, a former foster parent was sentenced to 4 years in jail for possession of child pornography with rape charges to follow. In Montana, a foster father is accused of giving children alcohol and then molesting them. In Oklahoma, a former CPS agent is charged with sexually abusing children. And in Oregon, a man who is accused of making false accusations of sexual abuse involving Catholic priests has been charged with mail fraud. In Milwaukee, a foster parent gets 25 years for sexually abusing 3 girls in his care, including inflated salaries, luxury cars, personal travel, and other inappropriate expenses over a 3-year period. The attorney in the case of a Fresno, California boy who died at the hands of his mother's boyfriend is claiming that child welfare officials had plenty of opportunity to save the kid but failed. And the state of Washington is going to settle a lawsuit for $3 million for 2 young sisters who were molested in a foster home. In New York, the Bronx police handcuffed a boy for hours for stealing $5 from an older child, and the mother is now threatening to sue the New York Police Department for $250 million, saying that police treated him like a hardened criminal. Then the kid's victim speaks out, saying that the cops should have never taken the handcuffs off. A New York foster home wants more information after their foster kid was shot to death by an off-duty New York cop during a robbery. And the New York child protective industry is trying to cover up one of their failures after a kid who was under their watch died. In Pennsylvania, a court drops a $50 ticket that was given to a social worker for allowing her 2-year-old son to take a pee in a public place. In Wisconsin, a homeless mother loses her parental rights in a state where there is little help for poor families. In Louisiana, 2 teenagers have run away from the same group home over the last 2 weeks. And the child protective industry in Oregon is reviewing their snatching of 2 kids from a foster home where they were going to be adopted. In Nevada, a CPS agent is fired after failing to protect a 7-year-old boy who died. A drill sergeant in the U.S. Army wins custody of his daughter after she was adopted right out from under him by the mother in the state of Utah. A Utah woman who was adopted and who tried for 3 years through the official channels to find her real parents finds them after only 3 days after posting a picture with a request on Facebook. And finally tonight in Maine, a man has his domestic violence conviction thrown out after claiming that his sentence violated the equal protection laws of the Constitution because the same sentence could not be imposed upon women. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.